Hey. This shit's hard to do. Oh, fuck. You learn the entire backstory for an ensemble of enterprising actors and then crucified them on live television. Hey guys, Maxer here, and I'm really glad to bring you the next available making of in our sort of making of videos for every single major video that I'm doing. I'm sorry I didn't do the last one, but it's extremely simple. It's less than 5 minutes, so we're going to get into this one, which is significantly longer and has much more to talk about. One of the first things that I actually do want to talk about is that earlier, as you saw, most of these lines are extremely rehearsed. They take about several tries each, and that sort of slowed me down. Usually I will be able to do some of them first, but this time, no. I had to practice and redo pretty much all these lines for it to sound like this, and even then there were some mistakes because I had re-recorded things too much, and some stuff just couldn't really sound that great. Has resulted in a decadent morass with a poor... That's me trying to say resulted in a decadent morass. But after, like, I don't know, 5 tries, 10 tries, it's not that good. Consequences on society has resulted in a decadent morass. It's a little blended together. You want to avoid that. You always want to articulate everything nearly perfectly if you can while speaking as fast as possible in order to increase understanding. I'm trying to do that right now. You really have to focus on what your mouth is doing. I never thought that I would have to practice this sort of exercise, but it turns out that when you're speaking very quickly, you need to make sure that you don't slur your stuff together, which is what I did in some places, and I regret that. This is definitely the hardest, like, most difficult project I've ever had to do. The one that made me pull my hair out the most, if you will. Obviously, I didn't truly pull my hair out, but for a lot of this intro, I began it simply as this. A black screen, the music, the narration. In this game, you play as the Cyberpunk, Keanu Reeves' biggest fan. And you have to create the visuals based off of that. How do you do that? Well, you keep notes. I tried to keep notes of my entire playthrough. If I were to go into the Cyberpunk notes, I have quite the collection of notes regarding the plot. This is only the plot. I have more chips than... I have more clips than this, but I would have to consult this and try to make sure that I had a certain clip. And then I would sort of use that along with my memory to envision what clip should go here. And this is what makes the video hard. Let's go over here and just... You play as the Cyberpunk, Keanu Reeves' biggest fan. When I said Keanu Reeves, I said to myself, well, I have to go get a clip of Keanu Reeves now. And that doesn't sound terribly difficult, but if you just take a look at the list of Cyberpunk clips over here on the left, it's massive. You would have to pull out a clip, say, when in the game was this taken? Oh, this was taken over here. I have to go back. No, yeah, I have to go back. I have to look over here. Is this clip the one? Like, how many clips farther back should I do? Should I use this clip of Johnny right here sitting in the corner? Probably not. For all of these clips of the game, for the most part, I had to consult a list of maybe over 100 clips, and that made it very difficult. This is the most difficult step in a review because it's also the most tedious. If you're trying to do something similar, good luck. There is really no way to do this besides the hard way. You simply have to arrange things as you please. You can try to arrange stuff into different folders so it makes sense to you, but that requires more sorting. So you may also notice for this video that there is a extreme volume of assets. All of these pink and purple assets right here are just external assets, that being things that aren't from the game. So pictures of homeless encampments, you know, things like titles, all these pictures that I include in everything. These pictures must be saved on my computer and accessible. Organizing them is a task because you have to generally have them in a flow where you can just quickly identify them. You don't have to be organized necessarily, you just have to be able to quickly identify them. Let's take a look at that. When it comes to this video here, what I do is I have everything in this video assets folder. I've arranged everything under names, so all my thumbnail assets are here, all my voice lines are here, music goes here. But I have large miscellaneous folders just titled assets. Once an asset folder grows too big, I simply move on to the next asset folder. This is because I want to be able to see the entire thing with my eyes within about a gaze. So I can save anything to it and immediately pull it out of the folder whenever I need it, pull it directly into the project. This makes things easier from downloading stuff on the internet. As well as making this, I have a bunch of clips that are used exclusively for the intro, because the intro has maybe a dozen clips or so. Now, so you can get a good idea of exactly what my writing style is and how I was able to write out the whole video. It is just a fact that I do not write out the whole video from beginning to end. I think that's a very, very bad way to transition from writing into video, because you don't necessarily know how long the video is going to be. When you write it section by section, like I tend to do, or even line by line, like in other videos, you tend to just have more jokes. Like, you get more time to focus on jokes because you get to write something, edit out the visuals, and then by that point, your subconscious maybe thinks of something new, something interesting, or you get a better idea that leads into something else. Writing from front to back is kind of a video essay thing. I think it's not really viable, though. If you're doing like a funny review, you shouldn't try it.
Imagine for a moment that you're a Militech guard in the beautiful night city. You see this weird guy running down the street wearing...
You might notice that this feels a little disconnected, and that's because it is. I wrote this last. In fact, this is one of the last things that I edited in the entire video. I thought that it was such a funny idea. You might have realized this from my notes. I came up with this in the shower.
14 different colors like a goddamn clown, when suddenly his arms open up like a fucking alien to reveal 2 gigantic sword-like appendages.
You can see that I wrote only this section. And by the way, I just overwrite other sections once I'm done recording them, because obviously, like, they're done recording, right? But I tend to write in sections that are about this long. These comprise of generally like good thoughts. The police section is about as long as this. The driving section is about as long as this. And the gameplay section is comprised of many different sections that are all about as long as this. This is approximately the time that I would take writing. You can see here that I have the entire section right here, and that it plays out to that end.
And he leaps directly into you from 15 feet away. Still for 24 hours straight. That is the true open world experience. Do you remember?
You'll notice that I sound different there, and that's because it's very hard to get the exact same tone of voice from one session to the other. This section here,
do you remember playing Fallout New Vegas and
was recorded several days before the section that comes right before it. So there's a little bit of a jank there. That's something I really want to minimize and try to avoid, but to some extent, it's not avoidable. Finally, before I close off, I want to give you a funny professional editing tip that I think is really impactful and really nice. That is opacity settings. Whenever you want to stylize something, especially text, opacity settings are perfect. How did I get this text to glow along with the scene here? It's nothing special, it's just an opacity setting. An opacity setting is this long list of stuff, and I encourage you to simply go through them and see which ones look better. So darken and multiply, these are not viable. Lighten, not really viable. But normal, this is what it would look like without any editing at all. Overlay is the one that I ended up preferring. This extends all the way down to my thumbnails, which I will tend to edit in this exact same way. So if we look at it without the text, it looks pretty good, but the text needs to complete it. So what we have here actually is 2 different layers of text. I don't want to focus too much on that. That's a slightly gimmicky workaround for Paint.net, but I want to show you the difference in opacity settings when you try to stylize certain things. When you set it to normal, it's okay, but it's not good enough. When you set it to overlay, though, significantly better. It inherits the texture from the gun, even if it's a bit grainy over here. At a distance, it seems pretty interesting, and it makes it much more like visually, you understand that this seems to take more effort. Obviously, it doesn't take that much more effort at all. It's a very simple setting. So it's the combination of these assets, the extreme amount of assets that I import into my videos. I mean, look at this. There's small animations. It's this plus the music, which is all on the same track. This is actually a very organized project by my standards. As long as the varying narration lines that I include in it. the section by section writing, and small little style flourishes like the opacity settings that really put everything together, that really make my review. Obviously, there's more things. But on a simpler level, that is the core components, the core organization that allows me to make it. So I really hope you maybe learn something about me and how I organize things and how I start videos.